You ever notice how some stories just refuse to die? It's like they have these golden threads that run through centuries, connecting ancient fears to our modern world. Today, we're going to pull on one of those threads, one that starts in the dark forests of old Europe and ends with the vampires we all know and, well, love. So let's follow that thread all the way back.
And our journey starts on that very night. With these chilling words from Bram Stoker, the guy who basically invented the modern vampire, we're plunged right into an atmosphere thick with dread. He's talking about a night that haunted the European imagination long before Dracula was ever a thing, Walpurgisnacht.
And this vintage postcard? It pretty much nails the vibe people imagined. This wasn't just about a few ghosts. It was a wild, supernatural party. A night when witches were believed to throw their biggest, most unholy celebration, dancing under a dark sky. This is the folk horror stage for our whole story.
So, to really understand how we got to Dracula, we've got to go back, way back. Let's dig into the ancient fears that created Europe's darkest night. Okay, so in the old folklore, Walpurgisnacht, or Walpurgisnacht, is basically the Super Bowl for all things supernatural. It's the night before May Day, and the story goes that witches and dark spirits have one last, giant blowout before a holy day sends them packing.
But here's where the story gets really weird. If this is the Great Witch's Sabbath, the most unholy night of the year, why in the world is it named after a Christian saint?
Right? That's the central mystery we need to unpack. It's this fascinating collision of two totally different belief systems. Let's see how a pious saint and a night of pagan terror got tangled up together forever.
The contrast here is just wild. On one hand, you've got Saint Walpurga, a real person, an English missionary who is spreading Christianity. Her feast day is May 1st. And on the other hand, you have what was going on the night before, ancient pagan traditions, bonfires to protect cattle, and this deep-seated fear that witches were out to cause trouble. Two completely separate worlds that were about to collide in a very strange way.
So you can see how this all unfolded over hundreds of years. The pagan fears just ended up swallowing the saint's name. When she was canonized in 870, it accidentally gave the night a formal title. But by 1521, Danish law was already calling it a time for witchcraft. Fast forward to the 19th century, and German folklore had turned it into this epic supernatural event. The saint was mostly forgotten, but her name was stuck to the har.
So, how does this all connect to the vampires we know? Well, that rich, dark tradition didn't just vanish. It was sitting there, waiting for a master of horror to bring it back to life. It was waiting for Bram Stoker. Stoker tapped directly into this ancient fear in a story called Dracula's Guest. It was actually published after he died, and a lot of experts are pretty convinced it was the original first chapter of Dracula that got cut. You can think of it like a lost prologue to one of the greatest horror stories ever written. And in this story, Stoker just throws his hero, Jonathan Harker, right into the middle of Walpurgisnacht. The coach driver is terrified, a freak storm rolls in, and Harker finds himself drawn to this creepy tomb. See, Stoker didn't have to invent a scary atmosphere. He just used the one that had been brewing in Europe for 1,000 years. It was the perfect entry point for the terror of Dracula. But Stoker wasn't the end of the line. Not at all. That golden thread of inspiration keeps going, weaving its way from 19th century Gothic horror right into our own time, inspiring a whole new generation of creators.
Which brings us to a perfect modern example, the work of the award-winning American poet LindaAnn. Her incredible collection, Vampire Verses, shows just how alive and powerful these old legends still are. And people are absolutely loving it. Just look at this 5-star review. When readers who are deep into vampire lore call it a delightful read, that proves there's still a real hunger for these classic Gothic themes. The connection is just undeniable. Listen to this line from her poem, which is literally called Echo Verse on Walpurgisnacht. That language, moonlight's bones crooning with sly silvered tongues, it creates the exact same eerie, supernatural feeling that Stoker was channeling over 100 years ago. The echo is absolutely intentional. And right here, you can literally see that golden thread we've been talking about. On one side, you have the 19th century master who pulled from ancient folklore. On the other, a contemporary poet tapping into that exact same well of inspiration. It's a direct artistic line, proving that these old stories never really die.
And this isn't just a one-time thing for her. Lo Schiavo is diving even deeper with her new serial, Dracula Before Stoker. She's doing exactly what Stoker did, weaving together real history, local legends, and vampire folklore to build an even richer, darker world.
So what's the big takeaway here? Why do these ancient tales of witchy nights and moonlit graves have such incredible staying power?
It's because the best stories can be told again and again. Think about it. We've followed this one thread, from pagan bonfires to Bram Stoker's foundational horror masterpiece, and all the way to modern, award-winning poetry. Each new generation finds a new way to look at these ancient fears and make them their own.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. This is just one story, one golden thread. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other forgotten legends and ancient tales are hiding out there in plain sight, still shaping the stories we love and the nightmares we have?